What's up, guys? Welcome to 1010 Talk. Today we're going to go into a review of a very popular piece, one with a lot of history, a lot of heritage, and some discussions on if this is as good as a Rolex Submariner. Today we are talking about the Seamaster Professional Ceramic. So this is the 2017, 16, 15 version. They just came out with the wave dial at Baselworld 2018, but this is the black dial SmpC Ceramic 300. Let's get into it. So the Seamaster Ceramic black dial. So right off the bat, I just want to talk about how much I love this black dial. I know the blue is sort of very iconic for the watch, especially in the last 2 decades, 3 decades or so. But what I really love is how deep and inky this black dial looks. It looks like an endless abyss of just black ink thrown in there in person. I hope you can pick up on a little bit of it in this video, that gloss finish. Just the overall package of the finishing, the lacquer dial on this and the ceramic bezel in black is just really breathtaking in person, I think. So let's go ahead and just get into some technical specifications on this before we talk about the overall watch. And any complaints I have, and obviously comparing this to the elephant in the room, the Rolex Submariner. So it is a chronometer grade movement. It is the 2500D coaxial movement with, of course, as you can see, a date window in there. One of the things that I really actually like about that date window is it has an applied date window in this kind of silver finish. It's not just got a stamped white dial in there. It's an applied silver that really matches the polished edges and the bits on the dial very well. So I think that was a very really cool little feature that Omega did with this thing. So one of the reasons why you're paying a little bit of a premium for a luxury watch like this is little things like that, intricacies. Of course, has the famous helium escape valve on the side, a screw-in crown, unidirectional rotating bezel, as you would expect on any kind of diver. Has a lug width of 20 millimeters, is 41 millimeters in diameter. Of course, this is the black dial one. And there is a domed, scratch-resistant sapphire crystal with anti-reflective treatment on both sides. So what does that mean? Yes, it is anti-reflective, but man, it smudges like a mofo. Let me tell you guys. It is pretty annoying, actually. The ceramic smudges a lot, and the crystal smudges a lot. So that is a little bit of a pain, because every time I have it, I feel like I'm wiping it on my shirt. And of course, it is water resistant to 300 meters. SmpC 300. So let's get into some of the discussions on this watch that have been floating around. I'm not going to do a crazy in-depth review on this because a lot of people have posted this since it's such a famous watch to own. There's countless reviews out there. And I've already touched on 2 things that I really like. The lacquer dial, that deep inky dial, the applied date window. And I also do like how this sort of lends it to the aesthetic of the watch. The date window isn't simply just squared off. It's sort of rounded at the edges, which I think is a really nice touch. Some people might complain that it looks a little cheap, but I think it's a nice touch for the watch. The only thing maybe that I would complain about is the actual font of the date. Really got to appreciate the applied logo. Sorry guys, this thing's already smudging like crazy. Really got to appreciate the applied logo, the Omega symbol, and the Omega underneath. Really like the dashes of red on this watch too, with the Seamaster in red, and then of course the red tip of the seconds hand made famous by the original Bond Seamaster Professional. So one of the things that I really have to commend Omega for is the fact that they actually include screw-in pins. So it's kind of an annoying system. There's 2 screws on each side, tiny little screws, and then an actual pin in the middle. So it is a little bit of a pain to size, but overall I think it's a big step up from the older model. And of course it features the very handsome, kind of polarizing Seamaster bracelet. A lot of people will swap it out for the Speedy style bracelet, which is more of an oyster style, which I think looks pretty good. The clasp is pretty nice double push pin here with a nice little diver's extension, which looks really nice. The only complaint that I might have is there is no micro adjust. So what a lot of people have been doing is taking the I believe Speedmaster Mark II or the Planet Ocean clasp and swapping it because it has more of a glide lock system on it, just like the Rolex. And I don't understand why Omega didn't switch to that earlier for this thing, because it makes perfect sense to put it on this dive watch. Really appreciate the thinness of the watch. Some people complain that it's actually a little bit thick. But for a diver and sort of a dressy diver, I think it's still thin enough to easily slip under a cuff, and to just be sort of a great everyday driver. One of the things that I really love about this watch too is the contrast between the brushing and the polishing here. Always thought Omega did a great job with that. Overall, I think it's a much more interesting design and a slightly more handsome design than the Rolex Submariner, where the Rolex has more of like a utilitarian feel, and this is much dressier with sort of the polished and brushed surfaces. But yeah, do I think that the Rolex Submariner is worth 2 times the money? Honestly, absolutely not. So I've held a ceramic Submariner in the flesh numerous times, and I really think that this Omega is right up on par. Maybe not as great, but in terms of refinements and overall aesthetics, and just the polishing, the ceramic bezel, the sort of detail that you get with all the applied bits on the dial, and the lacquered finish and the overall finish, I really think that at least the head of this ceramic Professional, Seamaster Professional, is right on par with the Rolex. The only thing that's a little crappy, I will say, is the bezel action. Not a huge fan of it. It feels pretty cheap, to be honest. I think, for example, a Tudor Black Bay has way better action on the bezel, and there is a little bit of play. Not only it's pretty stuck when you go, try and go back, but when you push down on it, you can feel a little bit of play, which is kind of annoying. You guys probably can't see that, but there's a little bit of up and down movement when you push down on this bezel, which I think is a refinement that should be present on a watch of this caliber. I think the bracelet is a little bit outdated, to be quite honest. I don't see that much of an improvement from the original Seamaster, which is kind of crappy, but they could have at least included that new glide lock style clasp, which I'm sure they've changed in the new ceramic Seamaster for Basel 2018, but I'm not 100% sure, and I'm not sure why it took them so damn long to actually change it. So I can definitely see how the bracelet is twice the price on a ceramic Submariner. But overall, I think if you're considering that this watch can be purchased for half the price of a Rolex Sub, we're talking used and gray market prices here, not retail, because this retails for $4,400, but you can easily get these for about just under, I think, $3,000 gray market. I definitely don't see the overall value in a Rolex Sub being twice the cost, but it does have that name recognition, and it doesn't have the depreciation curve that something like this has. So let me know what you guys think about this SmpC. And let me know if you think that this is a comparable watch to a Rolex Sub for half the price. Is it worth going double for a Rolex Submariner? Is the Submariner just all about the name at this point? What's the value prop here with this Omega? And let me know if there's any other watches in the price range, in the kind of sub $2,000 to $3,000 price range, that you would rather have than an SmpC. I know there's a lot of options right out there. Anyway, leave me a comment. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you guys in the next video.